Hello and welcome to Christian Evidences. I'm your teacher, Michael Strickland. Technically, I'm Dr. Michael Strickland, but because this is a graduate level course, I only ask that my students refer to me as Michael. If you want to call me Dr. Strickland, you can. I've done something to introduce myself in the discussion board, and I hope you'll take advantage of the opportunity to introduce yourself to the class. What I want to do in this video is go over the syllabus quickly just to make sure you understand the most important points. So I've got Blackboard pulled up, and I'm on our class, Christian Evidences, summer 2016. I've got it in student preview mode, which means I see the screen as you see the screen. When I have it in instructor mode, I see lots of extra things that you won't see. But if you click on the course in Blackboard, Christian Evidences, and you'll see that there are a few options here. What we want to do right now is go to the syllabus. You'll use, every week, by the way, you're going to go to instructional materials, and there you're going to find links to the various videos, which you had to do just to get to this video. So let's go to the syllabus for a moment. There are two sections to the syllabus. The second section is the standard addendum to every syllabus at Amridge. If you haven't read that before, make sure to read it. It tells you what grades you need to make, policies of the university, specifically about plagiarism and how you want to avoid that. And certainly if you have any questions about that, please let me know. What I want to do is look at the first section of the syllabus, the section that says Strickland M. TH 6320 Christian Evidences. So I click on that, and since I'm in Google Chrome, it just automatically opens up the PDF document. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that this will be easy to read on your screen. So this is what the syllabus looks like. This study represents an apologetic for the Christian faith in the context of modern and contemporary apologetic methods. So this is a class on apologetics. Oftentimes Christian Evidences and apologetics are titles that are used interchangeably. We'll talk more about that as the course goes along. What I want you to see first of all are the course objectives and learning outcomes. By the end of this class, because you're fully engaged, you will be able to identify and explain the central truths of Christianity in a postmodern context. That's the context we live in, making use of both ancient and modern methods of apologetics. So specifically, you'll be able to state the foundational doctrines of the Christian faith and present that in that research in a research paper in your research log. Secondly, you're going to recall and explain historical apologetic arguments and appraise modern attempts to defend the Christian faith. Not only are we going to talk about apologetics, but we're going to talk about good ways and bad ways, and better and best ways to do apologetics. We're going to use the discussion boards, quizzes, and exams to take care of that. And then finally, you're going to do a book review on a book that talks about different explanations for the biblical account of creation. That's something that in a graduate class you should be able to critically evaluate various pieces of evidence and various arguments for views on the creation and age of the earth. And so you'll use these two textbooks. The first book that we're going to read week to week is the Handbook of Christian Apologetics by Kreeft and Ticelli. It's a really good book. It's a little dated now, but I highly encourage you to go ahead and buy this, because every week we're going to be using it as a springboard into our discussions and into our quizzes. The second one is the book I said a moment ago, 3 Views on Creation and Evolution, the book that we'll use to critically examine various explanations of creation and examining the claims of evolution. What I want to do in this class is to address this subject. What I don't want to do in this class is to spend an inordinate amount of time on this one question, because I don't think it's the most pressing question, and I don't think that the your solution there will necessarily handle all the other issues involved with apologetics. You can read the bibliography that I've suggested there. Let's take a moment and look at your assignments and requirements. So you'll see that there are several assignments that will ultimately determine your grade. You're going to have 4 quizzes throughout the semester. Each one's worth 25 points. I will give you a study guide to each one. And we'll go over when they will take place in the semester in just a moment. It looks as if you have 2 book reviews, but you really just have 1. It also looks as if you have 2 research papers. You really just have 1, but you're going to turn that in, each of those in 2 sections, a first draft and a final draft. The purpose for this is twofold. First of all, it will make sure that you are in a timely manner beginning your work on these papers. But second of all, it also will make sure that you can have a low stakes contribution of this assignment, get my feedback on it before you make the final submission. So if you're wondering, is my formatting correct? Am I approaching this the right way? You submit your first draft, and that's where you let me give my strong opinions on things and give you hints how to improve your paper. So that will happen for the book review and the research paper. You will have a final exam. Again, I will provide at the end of the course a study guide for this final exam. And every week we will have discussion board topics. I'd like you to make your own contribution and make sure you respond to the contributions of others. So each one of those is worth 20 points for a total of 300. Now think about this. That 20 points is really easy to get. Now I don't want you just to make random comments. I want them to be informed comments. But this is the kind of work that requires great research or tons of time. You can get 300 points just by making reliable and informed contributions to the discussion board every week. That's 1/4 of all the points available in the class. So you've already set yourself up to do well just by doing the discussion boards every week. If you miss a discussion board, go ahead. If you're a few days late, that's okay. It might hurt your grade, but don't just completely neglect it. We need it for good interaction. And as I'm available to do so, I'll try to interact with you, but I expect the other students to do most of that. This is to be an in-class discussion. You'll also notice that you must finish a research log, which is typical of all Ambridge classes, except for a few. I also teach some math courses. We don't do research logs there. But in general, you can expect to do a research log every semester. And what I expect to see in your research log is that we have 8 sources. Each one of those would be worth 25 points apiece. Let me say a little more about some of these items now. You'll notice that you have your assignments listed by week in the syllabus. We're not going to go over every week, but I want to point out in week 1, you're going to watch videos on Blackboard and read pages 9 through 44 in the Kreeft and Cicelli Handbook of Christian Apologetics textbook. You want to introduce yourself on the discussion board, and I will be available from 9 a.m. to noon on this day for on Ring Central, which the link is provided under audio and video resources in the Blackboard menu. I'll be available for any questions we have on the first day. But in general, we're not going to meet week to week in a live streaming format. I will provide weekly videos for you to view, such as this one. And so that allows you to watch the videos as you are able to do so and use those videos to inform your study for the week. So your assignment this week, read pages 9 through 44, watch the videos, contribute to the discussion board. For the second week, you are to watch the videos and read pages 44, 45 through 88, and contribute to the online discussion board. Your first quiz will take place in week 3. So every week, make sure you know what's coming. Look ahead to what you should expect. By week 4, you should have begun reading the 3 views on creation and evolution textbook. Week 5, you have the second quiz. Your first draft of your 3 views book review is due week 7. which would be, the last date would be June the 12th at midnight. The final draft of that paper is due on July the 3rd. The first draft of your research paper is due on July 17th, and the final draft is due on July 31st. You'll take the final exam by August the 5th, and that will exhaust our semester. I've got in the additional comment section detailed notes on what I expect of the research paper and the number of sources. As I said a moment ago, I expect 8 sources. What I expect of them is they must be recent, and that means if it's a 200-year-old Bible commentary, I'm not interested in it. Don't use it. And also they need to be scholarly. So what I mean by that is you must have at least one, preferably more, scholarly article written in the last 20 years. A scholarly article is written in a peer-reviewed journal. So just because it's in a church newspaper or some publication does not make it scholarly. A scholarly article means that other people who have training and education in a field have put eyes on it and have said, yes, this is publishable. So it undergoes a certain level of scrutiny that doesn't necessarily determine truth, but just because something's published in a newsletter doesn't mean it should be used as a source. So we're at the college level, especially the graduate level, we need to make sure we make a good use of sources, 8 scholarly sources. So if you have at least one peer-reviewed journal article, you'll also need to have the remainder of the 8 sources. So if you only have one journal article, you could have 7 books. Okay, and books tend to be reputable, but of course just about anyone can publish a book. So they don't necessarily indicate the greatest degree of scholarly precision. So be very discerning in the sources that you use. Notice this. Do not use websites as sources. I used to say, well, okay, make sparing use of them, but for some reason a lot of students seem to think that means use mostly websites. So now I'm just saying this, don't use websites. If I see Wikipedia in your sources, it will not be a good sign for you. Now, I'm not completely opposed to the use of Wikipedia as a launching point into other areas. I use Wikipedia, so I'm not trying to act as if I am holier than thou, but what I do expect is when it comes to material covered in this class, at least by the end of it, you would be able to write or correct the Wikipedia article. So you wouldn't need to refer to it, it would need to refer to you. So use sources wisely. I've gone over most of this. The number 5 in the additional notes and comments details the kinds of sources we want to use. And let's see, you have 4 online quizzes. You have the specimen board topics. Late work will be penalized as specified above. So that's just a quick review of the syllabus. Please email me if you have questions.